So I've been wondering, what does taking back control mean to you? Um, it was a big, it was a big seller of Brexit, taking back control, regaining sovereignty, among other things. And um, I haven't seen, I haven't seen what the UK have taken back control of. I think, as I understand it, it was taking back control of your borders and um, looking at the news this weekend, um, I see that there are many, many, many refugees. I call them refugees. The news calls them migrants. Some people call them economic migrants. I'm an economic migrant. Um, but I see that the shores of southeast England have been quite busy this weekend with refugees crossing the channel in boats, dangerously crossing the channel in boats. Um, and went back and looked at the figures, thinking, well, how is it? Is it worse? There were less than 10,000 in 2020. There were around about. It's difficult because the graph I looked at didn't. It showed lines on it, but it didn't. It wasn't particularly accurate. In 2021, around about 27,000. And we're not even done in 2022, and it's almost 30,000. So I wonder why taking back control hasn't dealt with that. It who's not dealing with it? who who was going to be responsible for it, and what didn't they do? Who did you think would deal with it? Did you think it would work? It looks like even the threats of Rwanda didn't work. Um, Now that tells me that the people crossing the channel, most of the people, I know that you're going to get the odd few, but most of the people that come across in those boats, knowing that they could die on the way over, are so desperate that they're willing to risk everything to get to the UK. They're willing to risk that when they get to the UK, they might get sent to Rwanda. It must be where they've come from must be that bad. Um, and I know that being in Dunkirk or around about on the outskirts of Calais in France is fucking awful for many of them. Um, people coming, oh, the French are not doing anything. Why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? You want to see what the French are doing. You want to see what the gendarmes are doing up there. It's awful what they go through. And the same in Paris. Lots of refugees in Paris, and they're constantly having their belongings removed, constantly having their belongings destroyed. And refugee charities are constantly replacing tents and basic items that we all need to live on. It's just incredible that we treat other human beings so poorly. Like their existence isn't worth or as much value as yours. It it just astonishes me. I'm gonna call it out as racism, because I don't know what's happening now. Um, I don't know whether refugees from Ukraine are still coming through. I suspect they're not, because a lot of them started to go home. They just didn't want to go away, and they went home. Um, but refugees from the Ukraine who have the same colour skin as me and you, or most of you who are watching, um, they were welcomed. But the refugees that don't have the same colour skin as you are not welcomed. And we're fed, and have been fed for years by the right wing media, stories about people from another race. Um, the Daily Mail did it to the Jews back in the 30s. I think they referred to them as rats. Um, and that's just the Daily Mail. I'm not sure about the other papers. So anyway, yeah, what is taking back control? And who's going to do it? You're just about You're entering into a new era. You have a new prime minister who has not prime ministered for more than a day. If you count up, somebody counted up, and I can't remember who it was, how many days Parliament had sat since the Queen died. And if you don't include the 2 days that they sat eulogising the Queen, it's 1 day. So you've got a Prime Minister who's not really started her job. You've got a new king who is so pissed off with pens and all that's going on around him at the moment, and in mourning, of course. What's he going to be like? How's he going to rule? He hasn't been able to keep himself out of politics, which is what the Queen did. He's not been able to stop himself from commentating. How's that going to pan out? It's going to be interesting times. It's going to be interesting waking up on Tuesday morning and seeing what the world really looks like après the 10 days of mourning. It's going to be intriguing to watch how that pans out. And I think, we're still heading towards a winter of discontent. We're still heading towards massive electricity bills for many people in the UK. Ours are going to go up. But I know that in Europe they've just what have they done? Clawed back some windfall tax from the big corporation, the big electricity suppliers. That's what they've done here. They've clawed some back. That's really good, because that's to support us. And they're also Europe are also looking at managing electricity consumption. So looking at what can be turned off or reduced, have reduced hours to conserve electricity. And I know here we have a couple of street lights in the hamlet. And back 4 or 5 years ago, I noticed that the street light outside, just along outside Francois, started going off at 10 o'clock rather than 10:30. We really don't need a street light here. If you want to walk up and down the hamlet in the dark, you could use a torch. It's not like it's dangerous here. So yeah, they're looking at ways of cutting back on electricity, and I'd be interested to see what they do with that. It's cold. It's 5. It was, and it's 9 o'clock-ish in the morning, and it's 5 degrees. It feels like, it does feel like winter. It's amazing. And it's only mid-September. I do hope this is a blip, but I don't know. There was a terrible flood weather event in Italy a couple of days ago, where I think 10 people died. It might be more than that now. 6 months worth of rainfall in one day. Pakistan is just been annihilated by floods. I think it's half of Pakistan has been flooded, and the weather events that are going on around us make me, well, we all know that global warming's a thing, apart from the deniers. So yeah, I hope this is just a blip, but this would be really worrying if this was the beginning of winter, the middle of September. Absolutely unbelievable, but I don't think it is. And we'll see. So yeah, tell me what taking back control meant, because I don't see any of it happening.